Welcome to Cooking to Feast. Today, we're going to be taking these ingredients, simple chicken breasts, wine, heavy cream, and yeah, we're going to be turning it into this. Simple chicken with white wine, onion, and heavy cream reduction. These simple ingredients come together and form an extremely high-quality experience. So to start off, here's our ingredients: chicken breasts, onion, garlic, white wine, heavy cream, parsley, chicken stock, butter, and oil. Our seasonings are on the right and nothing out of the ordinary. So I'm going to start off by cutting up this parsley while I have a clean cutting board. And so you can use Italian or the curly parsley like I have here, which is what the store had. So we're going to curl it up here and try to dice it up real fine. So we're taking all of this parsley just to sprinkle a little bit at the end, just to make it look good. But we're eating with our eyes first, so I think it's worth it. And once we have it all chopped up here, we're going to take it, put it in a little ramekin or any other dish, and put it aside. So we're going to get everything out of the way before we get to the actual fun cooking. So with this, the recipe calls for 3 or 4 garlic cloves, but if you're like me and love garlic, throw a few extra more in. That's what I did. And so the worst part about cooking, getting the garlic ready. So I'm using this contraption to try and make it easier, and then we're going to cut it up fine. So when you're cutting it up, I recommend getting it as small as you can. Take a little bit of extra effort because when we're cooking this down, we're trying to get a much finer texture, which is going to lead to a better sauce, in my opinion, that's not as chunky. All right, and here we get to one of the other stars of the show, the onion. So here we are. We're going to chop this up or dice this up pretty fine. The smaller the better, again, because we're looking for that fine texture within our sauce. And these will cook down considerably, but I don't really want these big chunky pieces in it. And here's another angle. If you're looking for technique, this is the one I like. Once you do your cuts into it, you come in and you do your cross cuts. And these will lead to very consistent and small pieces within it. And so finish up the other side. A whole onion is necessary in this case. If you're not a big fan of onion, just give it a try. I mean, you can definitely reduce it if you want, but this is one of the big factors within the chicken that is going to make the sauce fantastic. So make sure to scoop all of it up. Get it all in that ramekin, because we're not going any to waste today. So you'll see once that's all chopped up, we have our onion, we have our parsley, and we have our garlic. So for wine, I'm using Pinot Grigio, and here is our heavy cream as well. Next thing, we have our chicken breast. Normally, chicken breast comes in these really big pieces, so what I'm going to do is butterfly them so that we get a nice, even cooking on the outside, and it still cooks all the way through. You notice this butterfly technique, which is cutting into the side almost like a book and spreading it open. And then so we're trying to get 2 even pieces. Here on the back side, I don't really like this extra little piece. There's nothing wrong with it, but I want a nice even cooking surface. And then we're going to finish it off here, going slowly, and then we're going to eventually cut it down the middle and have 2 even pieces. So this is one chicken breast, and then we're going to slice it into 2. So for another angle for the second chicken breast, you'll see that the goal is to cut into it flat and not at an angle. This is going to give the results of actually cutting it in half evenly. And take your time, do small slits, and go 1 stroke at a time. Keep slicing down the middle until you eventually have an even cut, and then separate it. And here you go, we have 4 pieces. So it's technically 2 chicken breasts, but this will cook a lot more even, and we'll get a nice sear on the outside of it. So for our spices today, we're going to start with salt. The amounts that I put up here, or if you want to make a blend ahead of time and just sprinkle that on, as you can see, I'm just kind of freehanding it, but this is about the amount. So 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and then we're going to get into our paprika. This is for coloring. Paprika isn't a heavy taste unless you're using the Sprite Hungarian kind, but this is going to look great. Just a little bit of cayenne pepper. We do want to have a little bit of excitement with all the heaviness of the cream and the richness. A little bit of chili powder as well. Garlic. You can see I really like garlic. And then to finish it off with a little onion powder. This seasoning is not only going to make it look better, but it's also going to make it less bland because chicken is not that exciting to begin with. And don't forget to do the other side. So today I'm using stainless steel. I'd recommend this over nonstick and for the crust that we're trying to build up on it. We're going to use a medium heat because these pans get quite hot, and this is the first time I'm actually using this set. So once it's come up to temperature, you can actually pour water right into it and you'll see this beading action. And that means your pan is hot and ready to go. Just make sure the rest of the water's out of it, or when you pour your oil in, this is what's going to happen, and I don't recommend it. So now that we've cleared that up, you'll get your oil in there and then immediately get your chicken in there. We're going to put it in the pan and try not to crowd it and create a good surface all around. For this, we're going to be cooking 6 minutes per side and trying to build up this crust that I've been talking about. I'm using a splatter shield because sometimes the oil starts to pop and I don't like that. So after 6 minutes, come in here, flip your chicken over, and bam, look at that. That is a crust on there that is going to be delicious. Check all of it. They all seem to be good. The pan is doing great for its first time even heating. And so look at the detail within there. All that browning on there, that is what's going to make this chicken, combined with the spices, taste amazing and not like baked chicken, which why bother at that point? So we're going to cook it for 6 more minutes. Probably about 5-minute mark. I'm taking a look at it and I'm getting my meat thermometer out there. We're looking for 165 internal temperature, and that means it's done. Don't take it any past that because we don't want this to dry out. And the chicken is going to be put back into the sauce that we're going to create. So there's the possibility for slightly more cooking in it as well. Look at this crust, the close-up shot. That is what we're looking for. And so here you'll see, maybe you think this is burned onto the pan. And the fact is, I mean, if we kept going, it probably would be burnt. But this is a lot of reduced down flavor and spices on here. We're going to start by cooking this down with a little bit of butter, and we're going to brown it. And then we're going to add in our onions. And so we're going to get these onions nice and reduced down, brown them on the outside. And so they're going to be delicious and soft and sweet at the same time. Go ahead and stir them around and make sure that they don't burn, but at the same time, we're trying to get these to brown up. I'm also trying to take the butter mixture and use the spoon to dislodge all the bits and pieces that are stuck on the pan. I want to get those mixed up into the onions as best I can. We are going to deglaze them a little bit, but if I can manually get some of it off now, I think it'll result in a better product, especially while it's cooking down. And you'll see that the pan is clean now. And so we're going to add our garlic. Don't add the garlic with the onions or they'll just burn. And I want you to take a step back and just take a breath in because of how amazing your kitchen is going to be smelling right now with the onions and garlic. It's great, isn't it? And so now we're time to deglaze. 1 cup of wine in there, and I'm using Pinot Grigio because I like the taste better. And so what we're going to do is try to cook this down. This is the full cup in there, and you can see it's really liquidy at this point, and you'll get a nice little simmer boil going there. And at the same time, I want to add a little bit of this better than bouillon, chicken bouillon. So 1 teaspoon of it in there and mix it all up and get it stirred throughout. We're going to fortify this down by adding extra flavor with pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. I wouldn't add any more salt because there's plenty of salt in here from the bouillon. Once your wine has been cooked down to about 1/3 of where it used to be, take 1 cup of your heavy cream and add that final star of our show to the pan. We're going to reduce our heat down to a medium low, and we're going to stir this around. And what the point is, we're trying to bring this back up to temperature and thicken it up at the same time. This is going to create a very luxurious sauce that has plenty of flavor in there from the onions, the garlic, and the seasoning. To help it, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cornstarch to thicken it up a little bit, and just go ahead and dump it in there and mix it out. This doesn't have to be a complicated process, and it will add a little bit of thickness to your sauce. In addition, add 1 teaspoon of thyme powder to it, and this is the final ingredient. So we'll take our chicken that's been resting, and we're going to add it back to the pan now. Again, take a look at that crust that we tried so hard to get, and that is what is going to separate and differentiate this. So take them, place them right back into the pan, and this is where they're going to come back and rest a little bit longer while they absorb a little bit of flavor. So put them out there. At this point, you can arrange them any way you like, artistically, or just throw them in there. Now, there's some juice left over from the resting process. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna drizzle them over top of the chicken and while they rest in place. Don't get rid of that juice. You'll be doing a disservice to yourself if you don't use it. Well, anyways, here's our final shots of the cooking process, and now we're gonna plate the chicken. So this is a high-end meal as far as I'm concerned, so I'm gonna take a little extra preparation and spread a little bit of this gravy reduction of the sauce down there. And as I was talking about before, this is why I really wanted a thin texture to everything I was cooking, so that you didn't have these big chunks and it's more delicate than just some kind of rustic thrown together, big chunks of pieces. So we'll plate some of our sauce. Here's our chicken on top of it. And so, yeah, take pride in this. This is a nice meal. I mean, for the amount of ingredients, you're getting a really high-end taste towards it. And then put a little bit of your sauce on the chicken. If you really want to go up and beyond, I recommend boiling up some angel hair pasta or something to serve on the side, and then you can mix a little more of the sauce in together with it. And then here we go. All that parsley, we're just going to put a little bit on there. So if you're cooking a bunch more, hey, it'll be worth it. But that little bit of pop of parsley, just besides looking good, actually adds a little bit of freshness to it, which cuts through the cream and the heaviness of the chicken. And here you go. Chicken with a white wine, onion, and heavy cream reduction. And this is Cooking to Feast. Subscribe to this channel for more.